Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feeling. I hope everybody's doing good. I am still a little under the weather, so I'm sorry that this is my voice this week. But thank you to everybody who checked on me. You guys are awesome. I really, really appreciated that. I hope everybody's had a good week. I know that we're all getting ready for Christmas, and it's kind of a crazy time. At least maybe for me it is. But I hope that everybody just takes that moment to have a moment for themselves. Don't forget to care for yourself. Also, don't forget that people love you. I know this is that time of the year where things can go a little sideways, and so just know that I care for each and every one of you, and I'm grateful that you guys are my listeners and enjoy this podcast. And, if you need to reach out and talk to somebody, feel free to reach out and talk to me. I'm usually on social media at least once a day. I also have an email, that floridafeel@gmail.com. Please just reach out and say hi, or if you just want to talk, I am here for you guys. I love you guys so much. Without you guys, there wouldn't be a podcast. So I wanted to say thank you, and then I'm here for you guys if you need to chat. Don't feel like you're alone, because you're not. You're important to me. All right, guys, so sorry about the replay last week. I'm still dealing with what I had, which... Fun fact was COVID. COVID is going around again. I don't know that it ever left, but it is going around again. So, just wash your hands. And if you feel the need to wear a mask, then obviously that's okay. Put one on. But just be safe out there, guys. I don't even have my flu shot yet. So behind. Just so sick. When you're sick, it just ruins everything. It totally, ruins your whole week about what you were going to do. At least it does for me. I don't know about you guys. So today we're going to talk about a really short topic, one that I feel that my voice will not get too annoying as we talk about. And today I'm going to talk about something that if you have ever driven on the west coast of Florida, South Florida, you have probably been on. And that is the Tamiami Trail. And by the way, it's called Tamiami because it literally takes you from Tampa to Miami. The Tamiami Trail is the southernmost 284 miles of U.S. Highway 41 from State Route 60, which is in Tampa, to U.S. 1, which is in Miami. A portion of the road has also has the hidden designation of State Route 90, so you might have heard other numbers associated with Tamiami Trail, but this is it. The 163-mile north to south section extends to Naples, and that's where it turns east to west. It does cross directly through the Everglades. It is one of the boundaries of the Everglades National Park. And it becomes Southwest 8th Street in Miami-Dade County, or Calle Ocho in Little Havana section of Miami. It does end east of Miami Avenue as Southeast 8th Street at Brickell Avenue in downtown Miami. This is a very long road, but it's a very important road. If you've ever driven through Florida, you know that most of the roads are on the coast, as there are very few that actually go straight through the middle, which is highly annoying when you're trying to drive through the state. But anyways, the idea for this came actually in 1915, the idea for a trans-peninsula highway that connected east and west coast of Florida. It was at an informal meeting in Tallahassee between then-president of the Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce, Francis W. Perry, and James F. Jordan of Miami, after which they returned to their respective cities and advocated for construction. And what was originally called the Miami to Marco Highway, which would have been Miami to Marco Island. They had another meeting in June of 1915, and that is the Central Florida Highway Association. Perry introduced a resolution that was seconded by Tampa's E.P. Dickey, in construction of the Tamiami Trail, which just run from Tampa through Riverview, Bradenton, Sarasota, Arcadia, Punta Gorda, Fort Myers, Estero, Bonita Springs, Naples, Marco, and then shoots directly east across the state to Miami. Perry actually traced the route of the proposed Tamiami Trail on a map, and according to the credit on the coining the words Tamiami Trail. So Dickey is the one to have come up with the idea of calling it what it is today. Of course, people always want to take other claim for it, but they do believe that Mr. Dickey was the one who came up with that name at that meeting. On August 3rd, 1915, the Board of Commerce in Dade County agreed to fund part of the survey for the road by providing their county engineer. 2 days later, a team surveyed the first 3.5 miles, and the work on the Tamiami Trail officially began in August. The team consisted of Hobart Crabtree, a county engineer, James F. Jawden, L.T. Heileman, Van Cleve Howlis, Wallace Culberson, Walter Ludnam, J.T. Albrighton, yeah, we're going to go with that, A.W. Frederick, and one helper, unfortunately, who did not warrant being named. Poor guy. At that time, Lee County was much larger than Collier and Hendry counties. By the way, Collier and Hendry counties actually were created out of Lee County in 1923. But remember, we're talking about the late 1900s. So this was still Lee County. So in 1919, for financial reasons, Lee County was unable to complete its portion of the Tamiami Trail. John had already purchased the 207,000 acres of land, mostly through Monroe County. His company, the Chevalier Company, came to the rescue and offered to build a link of the highway through its holdings in Monroe County if Dade and Lee would agree to reroute the Tamiami Trail through Monroe County. Now, the proposal was accepted, and the Chevalier Corporation began to lay out a new route for the road, and in 1929 began this construction of the Tamiami Trail. The segment today is known as Loop Road, and it is in the Big Cypress National Preserve. In 1922, the state of Florida ran out of construction funds for the east to west portion. The following year, Baron Collier, an advertising mogul who had recently diversified his holdings by investing in various types of businesses and millions of acres in South Florida wilderness, pledged that he would bankroll the completion of the Tamiami Trail. In return, state legislator would establish a new county and name it after him, hence why now we have Collier County. In 1923, Collier County was created out of the southern portion of Lee County, and almost immediate contention over the change arose. People were not happy about this. They did not understand the need for a new county. The sponsors of the new county advocated for the original route, which was completed inside the boundaries of Collier County, and the state road department actually agreed with the county. It needed to be moved back. So the Board of County Commerce in Dade County supported Chevalier's segment since so much money had been invested and only a few miles of the road were left to be completed. Despite this point, the state road department reinstated the original route of Tamiami Trail to be completed, and the already portioned roadway in Monroe County was accepted as the south loop of the Tamiami Trail, thus reconstructing the original Tamiami Trail to go straight up the coast. Of course, as construction resumed in the new south-north part, Collier had hired A.R. Richardson to be the head engineer of the Naples to Miami section. A few months later, A.W. Frederick replaced Richardson, who returned to do the Everglades Drainage District. So basically, a lot of drama happened in constructing this trail. That's why there's different parts of it. Now, the Tamiami Trailblazers would launch an expedition leaving out of Fort Myers in April of 1923 with the goal to reach Miami. The Blazers wanted to do a publicity stunt to try and get it to be national attention. And it was 10 vehicles, a commissary truck, 7 Model Ts, and an elk car. Hold on. Apparently an elk car was some model that tried to, compete against Ford, but I've never heard of one. So apparently it's an older car. Only lasted a couple years. And a tractor conveying 29 people, which was 25 men and 4 women. The party consisted of members of the Florida County Board, road departments, native guides, and which were probably Seminoles. And they started driving. They started going. The expedition did not arrive on time, and it was speculated that they had most likely become lost and died, which actually drew the national attention to this expedition that they so desired. Planes were sent up to find them. Parties were rescued on both ends of the coast, and the expedition actually made it to Miami. The first 11 would come into Miami 19 days after they started. The rest would come a few days later, but the expedition unfortunately did lose 3 of those vehicles, which kind of begs the question, what were y'all doing? What did y'all do there? But construction started on the east-west stretch later that year. thanks to more funding from Baron Collier. In 1926, both north and south sections and the east-west stretch were designated as official U.S. highways. The trail was intended to be one road. The two sections received different numbers as each section was completed. The north-south is the 41, and the east-west is 94. And of course, in addition, both sections south of Fort Myers also got State Route 27. North of Fort Myers, it was State Route 5. This is when it gets confusing. Why can't it just be the same number? I agree. Like, why? Why do we got to name it 40,000 things? All right, sorry. While in 1927, Rand McNally map indicated that the southern terminus at Fort Myers, the 41 signs had already been erected on the completed segment, which was south to Naples, in late 1926. The 94 signs made their appearance when the final section was complete in April of 1928. In total, the Tamiami Trail took 13 years to complete, cost about $8 million, which would be equivalent of $108 million today. Either way, a massively funded project. It used 2.6 million sticks of dynamite in its construction, because that's just an important fact. And the Tamiami Trail officially opened on April 26, 1928. As a way to celebrate, a convoy of 500 cars will leave out of Tampa in the morning of April 25th and arrive in Miami the later part of the next day. So thus making it a very kind of quick highway and an easier way to get from Tampa to Miami. I'll be honest, the Tamiami Trail is actually really important. I mean, I've driven it a lot. A lot of you who have even lived in that area, the Tamiami Trail is just kind of part of your everyday life. You know, I know that a lot of stuff is on the Tamiami Trail. Starting in, I have friends that live off of it in Riverview, and I have been on it many times going to Venice and Naples, and, it's really an integral part of the Florida highway system. Now, of course, after it was completed, there's still some issues today. But it also became kind of a place where you could set up like your roadside attractions, or tourist traps, however you want to put it. Some of the original ones don't always remain, but there is the Skunk Ape headquarters in Okeechobee. They are actually off of the Tamiami Trail. So you can visit them. They're off of, I believe it technically would be 94. Now, of course, as the Everglades moved, the Everglades were founded and progress in Florida continued, there were, of course, some issues. In the 1950s, a newly configured 41 was extended eastward and northward, first to Miami and then down along US 1 to Miami Beach, and then to A1A in 1953. So the road has still been extended. And really part of this was to bypass certain areas and business 41 versus US 41. And so, the road has really become still an integral part of both sides of the thing. Of course, the importance of motorists in southeastern Florida has changed after the opening of Alligator Alley, which was the interstate on 75, which opened just to the north of Tamiami Trail in 1968. Traffic across the Everglades has lessened a little bit, but it's still very much useful. There are times where I would prefer to drive it over 75. If you've ever driven Alligator Alley, you probably understand why. Now, in 1968, the Dade County Port Authority began construction on what was the world's largest airport at that time, the Miami Jetport, which was located 36 miles west of Miami, just across the Collier County line. It was going to be a supersonic 6-runway airport, and the project would have also helped to transform the Tamiami Trail into a multi-lane expressway. Conservationists, though, however, were very worried that the impact would have on the environment, especially in the Everglades and the Big Cypress, and unfortunately it got shut down. The widening of the Tamiami Trail as part of the Jetport had already been stopped, and one runway was already completed, so the runway is allowed to be used as a flight training center, and it still remains part of the Dade Collier Training and Transportation Airport. However, Tamiami Trail remained the same size that it was. And the Tamiami Trail today is actually a designated National Scenic Byway by the U.S. Department of Transportation. because of its unique scenery that does go through the Everglades and Big Cypress Natural Preserve. So, as you can see, one person's dream to connect the state has transformed it into a trail that we actually still use to this day. I like it. I think it's really scenic, especially if you don't want to get on 75 and drive from, say, Venice to Naples. You can just take Tamiami Trail and go straight down, and you can see all the little, like, Estero and little towns in between. I don't know. And yes, it is congested in certain parts, especially in the urban areas. But I don't know. To me, sometimes you just don't want to get on the big interstates. And I just, I get it. I want to take what is called, quote unquote, the back roads. And that is indeed what the Tamiami Trail used to be and kind of still is to this day. So I hope you enjoyed a very small piece of Florida history. I will be back next week with more new information about Florida and fun topics. And hopefully I will not sound like I'm talking muffled. And I apologize for my voice this week. But thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it greatly. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Don't forget to look for the polls on Wednesday, either on Instagram or Facebook. I usually try to do both, but sometimes it just doesn't work for me, and I apologize. But thank you guys as always. Check out all the other social media pages. And yeah, I just can't say thank you enough, guys. Don't forget to drink water, wear your sunscreen. And as always, guys, that's your daily dose of sunshine.